But it says only one.
I know, but
Darn thing.
Unless it's for two different vehicles.
Staff ready? Okay. I'm going to call to order this Kerrville City Council meeting for July 14th, 2026. Let's all rise for the invocation and pledge of allegiance led by Councilmember Delane Siegerman.
You'll pray with me, please. Heavenly Father, we are here today to discuss city matters for our citizens, for our residents, and for those who visit us, and all that work for the city, and for other businesses here to have their best business that they can have, and to prepare for those things that help them have that. As we go into this budget season, be with us, and I do want to say we are so blessed to have the staff that we have that dives into the questions and the answers and comes together with solutions and a plan. We are very appreciative of that. Bless them. Be with our first responders who take on the challenge of putting their lives on the line sometimes every day, and those that come to our aid when we call. Thank you for this rain. Help those that might be suffering through the memories of all the rain that we had before, and give them peace. In your Son's name we pray. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And the Texas pledge led by Crystal Smith.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you, Crystal.
Thank you, Crystal. You have to learn that. Martin, do you have any announcements for us, sir?
Yes, good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council, ladies and gentlemen, and those watching at home. These are the announcements of community interest for Kerrville. This is just a reminder. First and foremost, the city will host a ribbon-cutting ceremony for Guadalupe Park on Friday, July 17th, weather permitting. We just got an update that the weather may not be good for that date, so we may keep you updated on that. The event will begin at 12 noon, if everything works out, and this gives us a chance to celebrate the improvements and partnerships that help make this park possible. We thank you to the community partners involved in supporting the project, which of course is the Community Foundation, Sports for Health, the Houston Rockets, the Spurs, and the Dallas Mavericks. On July 18th, weather permitting again, Kerrville Parks and Recreation Department will host Movies in the Park at Carver Park. The feature film will be Lilo and Stitch, the 2025 version, rated PG. All films are free and begin at dusk. For more information, you can contact the Parks and Recreation Department at 830-257-7300 or visit kerrvilletx.gov or email the Recreation Department at recreation@kerrvilletx.gov. The next piece of exciting news is the Scott Schreiner Golf Course is celebrating its 80th anniversary on July 27th through the 31st. This anniversary will recognize the course's long history and its place in Kerrville's recreation community. Residents and golfers should watch for more details about the anniversary activities and ways to participate. And now, again, for the last two skateboard competitions were canceled due to weather concerns, but now we've got it rescheduled for Saturday, July 25th. The Kerrville Parks and Recreation Department will hold the skateboard competition at Singing Winds Park, located at 2112 Singing Wind Drive. Registration is free. Helmets are required for participants. And again, for more information, you can contact the Parks and Recreation Department or through our website for more information. And then in the first week of August, on Saturday, August 8th, the Kerrville Parks and Recreation Department again will host a kids triathlon. The event will take place at Shriner University. Usually we hold it at Singing Winds Park, but this time we'll hold it at the Shriner University at campus. And we're thankful to them for their use of the facilities. The on-site registration begins at 7:30 a.m., the pre-race meeting is at 8:45 a.m., and the event begins at 9. This event is for ages 18 and younger. Registration is $15 for the first child, $10 for the second child, and $5 for each additional child. Bike helmets are required. And again, for more information, you can contact the Parks and Rec Department. And speaking of Parks and Rec, the month of July is Parks and Recreation Month. So it's important for us to recognize all the work that the Parks and Recreation Department does for the city. And it is amazing. You can see by just the events in July and early August that they are a busy bunch over there. Anyways, we are glad to make the presentation tonight, and we look forward to all the events coming up and the Parks and Recreation doing a fantastic job.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you very much.
Anyone here have some announcements?
By the way, I did go to your family day at the Kerrville Shriner Park. It was great. I had a great band, and the weather was great. Good cloud cover. Hill Country ITA is an art studio here in town that is next to Clint Arms in that building, and she has a studio. It's Holly who runs that, and she has a workshop she would like for me to promote, which is for beginners, so don't feel intimidated, but it's this Saturday. If you're interested, you go to hillcountryrta.org, and you can find out the details. I think it's from 9 to 12:30. But anyway, if you're interested in art, she does some great things. Thank you.
Jeff?
I do. I've got a little bit of praise that I think's due. And at the request of Sergeant Tyler Cottonware with the Kerrville Police Department, who I've known since he was 18 years old, he wanted me to start with, he is a handsome 6'5" father of 4, and married to his beautiful bride, Shyla. Sergeant Cottonware is something else. I've known him, like I said, since he was 18. He has the utmost character. He's an asset to our community. And in 2025, he was the Supervisor of the Year for the Kerrville Police Department. And he was also the first and only recipient ever with the Kerrville Police Department to receive the Medal of Honor. General Oates, a little bit different Medal of Honor than what you and I are used to. But still, nonetheless, we cannot take anything away from Sergeant Cottonware with what he did last year on the 4th of July, him and Detective Casey out in Hunt. Also, following his actions from last year on the 4th of July, on June the 26th of this year, Sergeant Cottonware was awarded the State of Texas Law Enforcement Achievement Award for Valor. Pretty impressive. Chief, I don't know if we've ever had another officer from Kerrville awarded that. Pretty spectacular award for one of our local homegrown law enforcement officers. But I just wanted to take this time to recognize my friend Sergeant Cottonware for his heroism and his dedication to our community. So I know Tyler's watching right now, so thank you, sir, for what you've done for us.
Yeah, thank you.
I just want to thank all the city staff who put their time and effort into the July 4th activities. That was a huge project to undertake, to navigate that in a delicate manner, to not only celebrate our nation's anniversary, but our community's anniversary here locally. And I think y'all hit it out of the park. So thank you to every single person who had their hand in that.
All right, we have a few presentations. Jeff Harris is going to help me on the first one. Come on down, sir. Thank you for being here.
I'm already shaking.
So this is a proclamation of the city of Kerrville. Whereas on September 11th, 2001, 25 years ago, the United States was attacked by Al-Qaeda terrorists in New York City, Washington, D.C., and Shanksville, Pennsylvania, killing nearly 3,000 men, women, and children. And whereas responding to those attacks, America's first responders showed true heroism, and we remain grateful for their selfless courage in defense of our citizens. Whereas for 20 years following the attacks, the American Armed Forces, men and women deployed in Afghanistan, Iraq, the Philippines, and the Horn of Africa to engage in combat with Al-Qaeda, the Islamic State, and other terrorist organizations. And whereas during the 20 years of combat, thousands of soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines from the Texas Hill Country answered the call to fight in the global war on terror, with 5 of the Kerrville veterans, Jacob C. Light, Lawrence D. Azell, Cody J. Orr, Charles Compa, and Javier Paredes being among those killed in action. And whereas by a joint resolution, Public Law 10789, approved on December 18, 2001, the United States Congress designated September 11th of each year as Patriot Day. Now therefore, I, Joe Herring, as Mayor of Kerrville, Texas, do hereby proclaim September 11th, 2026 as Patriot Day in Kerrville, Texas, and encourage all Kerrville citizens to join me and remember those who lost their lives at September 11th, 2001, and the years following in the global war on terror, and to honor all Americans who preserve liberty and security for their fellow citizens, regardless of personal costs. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate it.
Kind of hard to believe it's been 25 years. Mr. Mayor, thank you very much. Council, appreciate your support every year. I was thinking, gosh, 25 years. 2 things came immediately to mind. One is we all remember where we were on that day. And in a terrible time of tragedy, just as last July 4th, it galvanized us as one people, regardless of our views on things. We had a common purpose, and that's a wonderful thing when it comes around. Too bad tragedy is frequently required to get us to thinking like one people again. The second is for the youngsters that I had the privilege of commanding early in the war. They would be middle-aged people now. They're in their late 40s, into their 60s, and that kind of struck me. I still think of them as 18 to 20. So thank you very much, Mr. Mayor and the city. I appreciate you remembering every year that we owe a tremendous debt of gratitude to hundreds of thousands of soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines who answered the call, and that we should remain vigilant. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mike, can you say a little bit about what's happening on September the 11th?
So September is also a suicide prevention month for the country. We seek to draw attention to that terrible tragedy itself, suicide, by honoring September 11th. So every September 11th, we're at Schreiner University at 5 p.m. for about an hour, short ceremony, to allow us to reflect back on 9/11, but also to draw attention to the fact that we have about 40 of our Hill Country neighbors who take their lives every year. Most people don't realize it's that many. And we just try and raise the community awareness to lean into your neighbors. You know, you never know what somebody's struggling with. And so big programs aren't necessarily effective, but we are individually if we pay attention to our friends and ask how they're doing. So thanks, appreciate it.
Thank you. Can I get a picture, you guys? Of course.
I reckon. He's in charge.
Different times.
Oh.
Couple big lists. It is. Well,
Parks and Rec, come on down. We were talking about the ribbon cutting. Mr. Brimhall and I were talking about the ribbon cutting on Friday. I said, weather, we're gonna have to postpone. He goes, I hate to postpone. So
I hate it so much.
there's a good chance we're still gonna have a ribbon cutting.
It's getting worse and worse every time I read the weather forecast, so.
Yes, the state sends me about 18 a day now. Every one of them is worse. This is a proclamation of the city of Kerrville. Whereas the city Kerrville City Council recognizes that the Parks and Recreation Department is a diverse and comprehensive system that improves personal, social, environmental, and economic health. And whereas the Kerrville City Council recognizes the importance and benefits of park and recreation services, which enriches the lives of our citizens and help make this community a desirable place to live, work, and visit. Whereas the Kerrville City Council supports the skilled work of park and recreation professionals to strengthen community cohesion and resiliency, connect people with nature and each other, and provide and promote opportunities for healthful living, social equity, and environmental sustainability. And whereas the Kerrville City Council values the essential services that park and recreation professionals and volunteers perform to provide recreational and developmental enrichment for our children, youth, adults, and older adults, and to ensure our parks and recreational spaces are clean, safe, inclusive, welcoming, and ready to use. Now therefore, I, Joe Herring, as Mayor of Kerrville, do hereby proclaim July 17th, 2026 as Park and Recreation Professionals Day. Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you. Say a few words, please.
A few words, okay.
Hold this while you do it.
Sure. So one of the things that I heard in this proclamation, to me that's important and often overlooked, is our volunteers. There was a lot of volunteer work that happened in our park a year ago. Right now, I remember I had just been onboarded, and the amount of volunteers and people who just wanted to jump in and lend a hand was really impressive. And those were kind of short-term volunteers. That spirit exists here. But our long-term volunteers that we have working in our parks and volunteering on our parks board, they're the heartbeat of what we do. So I appreciate that proclamation and all the work that my staff does and all the support that we have from y'all. So thank you.
Thank you, everyone. That's all I got.
Hey, who are you?
I'm Ethan Mitchell, Assistant Director of Parks and Recreation. I manage mostly all of the maintenance throughout the parks and throughout all the facilities. So,
Yeah, he's the one who does all the work. I sit behind a desk most of the day. He humors me and drives me around, and we check out the parks together, but he's my eyes and ears. Couldn't do half, not even close to half of what I do if it weren't for this guy. So he's really important.
And please shake the hand of the councilman on your way.
No way.
How are you, buddy?
Thanks for what you do, Ethan.
No.
Thanks for all you're doing today.
Have you heard that?
No. Okay.
The one that flashes.
You ready? Good. Thanks, guys. Thank you.
That is-
Alamo. Council.
Oh, that's right. On the agenda tonight, it says Alamo Area Council of Governments. They were delayed by weather, so we'll have to have that report later. The next is our Visitor and Citizens Forum. Do we have anybody signed up?
We do. We have 4 speakers.
Who's first?
Tori Lewis.
Ms. Lewis. Either. Doesn't matter to me. Your name and which city you live in?
Tori Lewis. I live in Kerrville. I have for over 15 years. A lot's changed there.
Amy.
I'm here to talk about the new development that's going on Town Creek. And I know that you guys know what your role is, which is we're going to ask, just go over and ask that you follow this. And your roles are, we've listed a few from my neighbors, oversight of the city management. That's your most important role. Hold everybody accountable. Number 2, listening to citizens, you're our representation, and that's why I'm here tonight, to ask you to make sure that these things are done correctly. Act as a bridge between the citizens and your city staff. Ensure that the citizens' input actually influences decisions. Number 3, enforcing and protecting our city ordinances. I've learned a lot about them. There's some that are really good and that will protect the Hill Country and what's fixing to be built on Town Creek. When staff and developers appear to be ignoring these, we ask that you step in and demand the compliance. City Council must direct the city manager to enforce ordinances consistently. They serve as a final check against staff overreach or selective enforcement. Transparency and accountability mechanisms. We would ask that you require regular reports, which I'm sure you do, on key issues. Setting policy and direction. Establish clear policies that prevent abuse of power. Approve budgets that reflect citizens' priorities rather than staff desires. I guess in summary, we're asking that you listen to the residents and advocate for them. Protect the integrity of city ordinances and prevent selective enforcement. Act as a check and balance. I'm going to not read the rest of it. What I'm going to say is, we know what you know. We know you know what your duties are, and we're just asking you to protect the Hill Country and protect what makes it the Hill Country. So thank you for letting me speak tonight.
Of course, thank you. Next,
Clay Lambert.
Mr. Lambert.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I live on Town Creek here in Kerrville, just a stone's throw from where this proposed Town Creek development is going in. And so naturally, I was curious when I saw people marking trees and a lot of activity out there a couple of months ago, I guess it was. But before I get into that, first of all, I want to commend you for a couple of things. I went going through some of the city ordinances, and I think that the tree ordinance that y'all have put together and the park ordinance are some of the best written and well-managed and well-deserved things, and I want to really applaud you for that. I really do. There's some items in there that are worth noting. Here's the tree preservation ordinance, just a piece of it. To preserve the neighborhood character of Kerrville, improve the quality of living of Kerrville citizens, preserve and enhance the rural atmosphere of Kerrville, responsibly protect the natural environment and resources, preserve the rugged beauty and natural environment that defines the Hill Country character, and finally, to prevent the clear cutting of land as it is provided within this article. The parkland basically calls for about 5%, or let's say 1 acre for every 20 acres of development to be utilized as park space. This particular development is 520 homes, and when I got a hold of the plans for that, I noticed that it's not only high density, it has no park requirements in it whatsoever. And so I was curious, and on the actual plat of the layout for that, there's the plat notes, which clearly states, and this is the first plat handed to the city, states parkland dedication fee requirements are met by participation into the fee in lieu of parkland and dedication program at the direction of the City of Kerrville Director's Office. And so I thought, this is odd. Someone in city management, before they even have a chance to look at this, has already told them, just pay us money and you don't have to put in any parks. I thought, gee, what in the world are we dealing with here? I'm not blaming you for this because, quite frankly, you probably have heard about it now. But several weeks ago, you may not have known that this was going on behind your back. I just can't believe that the same people that state that we need trees and parks and help craft those ordinances and have it in the 2050 comprehensive plan would turn their back on it. So I'm going to give you all credit for putting those together, but I'm getting ready to ask you to hopefully do something about it. Because upon inquiry, I was told that, well, the money that we get in lieu of people putting in parks, we use to fund other parks and to, help out with the maintenance of those. Well, let's look at this logically. I can't see the timer over there.
You've run out of time, so let's wrap up.
So I went out and took a look at the Lennar subdivision, the first one out on the loop. There's no parks in it. So if you take if you agree as a standard provision that you're going to take money in lieu of putting in parks, what's happening now in Town Creek is 520 homes. Let's say a third of those have children, 2 children. All right, you've got a couple hundred children that don't have a park to play in. Their parents are going to have to drive them to some other park. They're going to have to sit there with them. It's not convenient. It's not right. It's not hill country, and it's not Kerrville. So I'd like to ask you to please look into this. Who set this unofficial policy, if you will, or guideline that money would be taken in lieu of these, and hopefully do something about it. I appreciate it.
Barbara McCormick.
Ms. McCormick. Well, it's fine. This is be perfect time. Oh, Roger.
My name is Roger McCormick, and I'm a resident of the Elm Creek area, as are my wife and neighbors here. We have been very pleased that the city is looking at water resources, and we are impressed by the work of the utility department in developing ways to reuse water. But we are concerned that when water is diverted from the wastewater treatment plant through a holding pond by the ball fields up on Holdsworth Drive, and then across town to Elm Creek, and then run in an open channel down the Elm Creek channel, that there will be health hazards from additional insects and mosquitoes especially, that there will be some danger as children often play in the Elm Creek Park channel, and we are concerned that the cost of improving that plan by keeping the water in a pipeline underground as it transits from the proposed end of the current pipeline from Holdsworth Drive into Elm Creek, that pipeline be extended, hopefully underground, as most of the residents would agree, down to the terminus in Nimitz Lake. And the reason for that is that would keep it out of sight, it would provide less maintenance for it, and it would keep the safety and the health of that area at a high level. The opportunity to get a grant from the state of Texas to make this entire project possible has been explored by the utility department. They've done a good job putting it together. We would request that grant request to the state of Texas include the additional funds, however much that might be, to run that last mile of pipeline underground down to the river and meet everybody's needs, the cities, the water districts, and the residents who live along the Elm Creek Parkway. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak today, and my neighbors, and there are many of us, but not all could be here, are willing to do whatever we can to assist the process. Thank you, sir.
Roger. Next.
Mr. McCormick was our last speaker.
Do you want to speak, Mrs. McCormick? Oh, she did, I think.
For Barbara McCormick?
This lady here.
Oh, I have you for 5A. Did you want to speak now?
Oh, did you want to speak now or during the Water Development Board grant application? Well, I'd like to speak before the Water Development Board discussion. Oh, well, it's okay with me if you speak now. Say your name and your city. I'm pretty sure I know the city.
I hope so. Good afternoon, evening, council members, mayor. My name is Robin Martin, and I live at 103 Timberway Lane, which is a very small street right off Crestwood. And my backyard actually backs up to Elm Creek Park. I'm very pleased, I'm going to back up for a little bit, that we had a proclamation for our city parks because Kerrville does an incredible job with its parks. The maintenance of the parks is really wonderful. I've had many discussions with park staff. They've come out and filled in holes periodically. They've helped me throw out wild seed flowers in Elm Creek Park. Unfortunately, we had a little bit of a drought, so they didn't come up, but that's okay. But nevertheless, I appreciate your recognition of Parks and Rec in the city of Kerrville. My concerns here today are similar to what Roger just mentioned. One of my big concerns is the safety of having above water free flowing through the park. If any of you have been to the soccer fields, for example, and you look where that above ground holding tank is, it's interesting to me that there's fence, chain link fence, 6 feet tall, with barbed wire on top of it. And if you are fortunate enough to be able to get in there when somebody's mowing or something and you're able to look over that, there's scum on top of that water, there's danger signs on the fence line, but yet we're being told that the water is not for human consumption, but it's okay for wildlife. I myself question that when you have at these holding tanks, ponds, whatever we're calling them, you have these signs where it's very evident that you don't want wildlife, particularly children or anybody, getting in or around those areas. But yet you want to pipe that water above ground through Elm Creek Park. Elm Creek Park, I encourage all of you to drive by there regularly. There are always walkers in that park, kids jogging. There are team members of the Kerrville-Tivy cross-country team that practice out there, okay? I myself use that park daily. I walk my four-legged in the park along with many other people, okay? My concern, number one, with that water going through the park is that it's going to attract more wildlife. And I don't know, again, I encourage you to go over there at the dusk hours because sometimes there's maybe 20 and 30 deer in that park. Running water, flowing water is going to attract more wildlife of all kinds. It's also going to attract my little four-legged to that water when she gets thirsty, and if it's not good for human consumption, why, I'm not sure why it would be good or why I would let my four-legged, who is a member of my family, to drink that water. And so there's concerns there. There's also concerns when we did meet with, and it was very appreciated, David Barretta came in and we had a meeting in the park several weeks back so that he could answer our questions regarding the park and the safety, that there was no understanding that when it rains, there's standing water in that park. Now, Roger mentioned a few minutes ago about standing water. You're going to have more mosquitoes. We have already a problem with screw worms in a county over from us. Why would we want to encourage that? So, and another thing was that they were not aware that children play in the drainage ditch. They use their electric bicycles, they go down with their electric scooters, they play in the culverts, and our city staff was not aware of that. Okay, and so it's very concerning when we ask specifically what safety measures are going to be put into place so that these kids aren't getting into this water that supposedly is going to be coming up through a pipe at the top of the park. The liability to the city, I implore all of you to think about as we move forward, especially with presenting this plan to the state, that we look at, or please give us opportunity, our neighborhood especially, input into this process and the thoughts that we have about safety and just the concerns about having free-flowing water going through the park. We've been told that part of that is because you need the cleaning process of going through the grass. Well, even if you put it underground through the park and then have it go above on the bottom side of Lois, that you would have a wider exit area for that running water, and as well as more grass area to help cleanse that water before it goes into the river.
We're a little over your time. Can
Okay.
you want to conclude?
Yes, we encourage you to, please don't harm our park, because I would venture to say it's probably the second most used park, if not the third most used park, and we really don't want to cause safety issues with bringing above the ground water through the park.
Thank you,
Thank you
ma'am.
very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Anybody else?
No, other than Barbara McCormick.
Barbara, did you want to speak? Don't let him do that. You and Carolyn. Carolyn wouldn't let me speak for her, so I understand. All right, we're going to move on to the consent agenda. The consent agenda is items that are considered routine, but any item on the consent agenda can be removed if a council member, staff, or citizen requests. Anybody want to remove anything from the consent agenda?
4A, please.
4A, anything else? Anybody else? All right, let's have a motion then on the remaining.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda items 4B, C, and D.
Second?
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, so vote. And it passes unanimously. 4A, Mr. McKinney.
So, I don't have anything particular, except that the packet just showed 2 vehicles is all I could tell.
So,
So,
those are the quotes for, they'll apply to all.
apply to all what?
So
many?
the
I mean-
Tahoe quote is for all of the Tahoes, and the Explorer quotes are for all the Explorers. And,
So I just missed where it said how many there were.
yeah, there are 9 total. And so,
I'm not really a problem about it. but
Yes.
It just showed it.
we got 1 quote, so we could show individual pricing, and those will apply across the board.
Okay, so there's 9 cars. Okay,
Correct.
that's fine.
This would be a really good deal if it
I would move we approve 4A.
I think so.
All right, there's a motion to approve 4A. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded by Jeff. Any discussion? All in favor, so vote. And it passes unanimously. Next item is 5A. Mr. Burr, you're up.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. What we have before you is the result of last year's legislative session. The session ended with House Bill 500 that allocated $1.038 billion for just kind of a random general fund influx into the Water Development Board. They are typically the financial provider for a lot of projects. With that, What they allocated was what WSIG, Water Supply and Infrastructure Grant. This is 100% grant funded. There is no local match. So what we've come up with are items in our master plan through either water or reuse. Members that have spoke about the Elm Creek line, this would construct or pay for the construction of that line. This would pay for the filter gallery improvements that we currently have under design. Some of the stuff that we don't have under design because it's much more financial burden on the city than what we can afford right now. What we're packaging together is a $21 million project. That, again, is 100% grant funded. And what this is before you is a resolution of support that is required for our application that is due by the end of this month. Once this, if this passes, what we'll do is compile the application, send that to the Water Development Board, and I believe by the end of August, hopefully we hear something.
So to be clear, Elm Creek is only a small part of what you're requesting.
That is correct. This is very small.
Larger portion would be a new well possibly and some other improvements to the wastewater treatment.
That's correct.
And possibly water treatment, is that?
Yes, sir. In the resolution, you'll see it's new treatment options, expanding capacity within the, and capacity and also redundancy within the water treatment plant. A lot of that infrastructure is, some of the originals, like the filters, that's the originals from the 70s from UGRA. So what we would do is upgrade that with potential capacity increase on the filters, also look at another clarifier. Whereas if we went down like we did a few years ago for rehab, we would have the ability to still use our surface water.
While I appreciate that it's a grant money from the state, it would not cost local taxpayer, city taxpayer money. I think it's important that we clarify that we're trying to do many things in this $21 million package, correct?
That is correct. So we've got 5 projects that we would identify.
Tell me.
Okay, so Alpine Well, we would look at a new one that would go down into the Ellenberger, similar to what we did off of 534. That has not been designed. It has no financial component to it. Construction of the Elm Creek reuse line. Again, we're talking increasing our water supply for the future for the drought. The water filter, the gallery that we already have a design contract for, so that's not funded. It would just be the construction of that. The new clarifier at the water plant, as well as a new pretreatment, similar to what we did with the granular activated carbon. That it would be some mechanism like that we have not identified. We're just asking the board for financial components to look at additional treatment.
And I understood you say that application is due at the end of this month?
Yes, sir. July 30th.
Any questions for Mr. Burrow? The reason I'm asking you these questions is not for the 5 of us, it's for the public to know. And if we say it, try to be clear about it, it's easier to understand what we're trying to do. All right. Any other questions? Please.
So you'll, in the event you do not receive the full 21 million, then you'll go back through and you'll prioritize the projects?
So what we already have is the prioritization through the master plans.
Okay.
What this is just a one-time tranche of money that as staff, when we can get 100% funded grant, we're going to come to you every time and just say, look, this is kind of our wish list. This checks not only what we currently have, but also stuff that we didn't even see foreseeable within 10 to 20 years. Funding opportunities. Otherwise, we have to get with finance to see when we have bond capacity for debt issuance and stuff like that. So this covers a larger portion of future forecasting and constructability than what we would typically accompany.
Thank you. Comments?
I'm going to direct mine to William, our city attorney. Just, you send an email, I just want to, for everybody's clarification, it's not a standard City of Kerrville resolution form. It strays from us a little bit, but there is no way, shape, or form it would have any impact on the city with us using their form for this, correct?
Right. It's our understanding that the Water Development Board wants us to use their forms, but it has everything that the city would generally have in theirs as well. It's just a different.
I appreciate the email on that. Just for clarification, thank you.
Other comments or questions? Is there?
We can get some money that doesn't take any matching, that would be great.
Is there a motion then?
I would move we approve resolution.
Oh, do we have speakers? I'm sorry.
Yes, we have
Okay.
3 citizen speakers.
I apologize. Who are our speakers?
Bill Fitch.
Mr. Fitch.
Good evening, council. My
Sorry,
name is,
sorry to almost, I just got out of order there. I'm sorry.
I'll probably make a mistake as I read this. My name is Bill Fitch, and I am a city resident. I've been watching with concern over the past several years the additional homes that keep popping up in Kerrville, as I also watch the water levels continue to cause us to go in and out of conservation stages. It appears the city has had a plan for quite some time in their attempt to alleviate the problem of enough water to satisfy those needs. And now they're trying to get a $21 million grant so they can help with that. Kerrville built a storage pond, which I believe is capable of holding 95 million gallons of treated sewage. They have been using the water all throughout the city on golf courses, baseball, and soccer fields, and have now decided, since the grass hasn't died, it's now time, according to the city's plan, to put Elm Creek, where children and pets can play in, as well as our beautiful river, and then treat it for drinking water. As I understand from 2 meetings with the city water officials, the city has plans to run the sewage from our homes, where they start, to the sewer treatment plant, to then the pond, the large pond, and then they're going to pipe it to the sports fields, and eventually they're going to pipe it to the river. And they're going to be putting this sewer into the river, down to the water treatment plant, and then back into our homes as drinking water. Let's see. Now, my first question is, does anybody want to drink that water? It just bothers me considerably. And I know you all have told us that it's fine, but I have trouble with that. Okay, let's see. Okay, think for a moment what's in this water. All right, well, the obvious is what we know about, but also it's got medications and it's got other things that possibly will not be filtered out. And again, I know the experts say it will, but I've got some information that kind of questions that. All right, some key considerations and risk when treated sewage effluent is mixed with river water, a process called environmental buffering. And then it's retreated for drinking. Several concerns arise. Persistent contaminants. Standard wastewater treatment is not designed to remove all substances. Chemicals like pharmaceuticals and personal care products, hormones, antibiotics, often persist and can accumulate in the water supply. Nutrient loading, even treated effluent, contains nitrogen and phosphorus. If these are not fully removed, they can cause, I'll try all this one, eutrophication in the river, leading to a harmful algae blooms and further degrade the water quality before it even reaches the drinking water plant. It robs the water of oxygen.
I don't want to rush you, but
I've got one more sentence.
Please
And I've still
conclude.
got, oh.
I know.
A minute and 2 seconds a while ago. Okay, and the last thing, disinfection byproducts. When wastewater is disinfected with chlorine, it can react with organic matter to form many harmful byproducts, like trihalomethanes, which I understand we failed on that for years. Maybe I'm wrong. We don't want to use this creek and especially above water. If you've got to do this, use a pipeline to get it from wherever to the river. Also, and today, sorry, one last thing. Today, I turned on to Goat Creek Road to go home, and I couldn't. The water was over the road. Is that going to happen every time you all release water? Think about it. Thank you.
Bonnie White.
White. Mayor White.
Thank you.
Nope.
Used to be. Thank you for the sentiment, though. I'll ask for extra time. I'll try to go as fast as I can. I'm speaking for 2 now since my husband died, so try to understand that. But I want to applaud you first for taking advantage of the opportunity for a water sewer infrastructure grant funding. It's very timely, and it's advantageous for us to pursue this from the Texas Water Development Board. I want to say, however, I was a little disappointed. David, I love you to death, Barrera, but I turned in 12 questions. I've given it to each of you, gave it to Mr. McKinney when we were at the town hall, and I haven't had my responses yet, but I know you're still working on them. So I'm not going to ask you to answer any of those, Mayor and Council, today. I did give it to you, though, so you can peruse it. In regards to the projects referenced in the resolution to be incorporated into the proposed application, I have a question. What kind of flexibility do we have in regards to the projects for which funding is being sought? I know in a bond issue, you're pretty set for whatever you mention in the bond issue, that's what you have to fund. But in this is a resolution, it's an application, it's a grant. Do we have any kind of flexibility? If we get in there and we want to drop a project, or we want to add a project, we want to amend a project, is that going to be possible? Maybe you know the answer to that. If so, since the scope of work, if it does allow amendments, allowed includes remedies, and this was in your summary statement, for water loss and TCEQ violations, that was in Mr. Burrow's summary statement, then could you amend this resolution? And I gave each of you 3 things, if you wouldn't mind looking at, possibly considering to add to this resolution. And I gave you those 3, each of you, on the second page. If you could add to that an amendment to include the looping of our current water distribution lines, which would eliminate water loss due to the voluntary flushing of our current lines, which cost us millions of gallons in loss each year, and it would eliminate TCEQ violations from the TTHMs mentioned before due to the dead end of those distribution lines. So I think it fits into the application of this grant. Number 2, I was told recently that several existing or potential property owners were denied permits on the west side of Kerrville to build or expand due to a lack of capacity in the Knapp lift station. I believe you had a bond issue to address some of those improvements, and I know we had some insurance, probably proceeds that you collected from the damage from the flood, but that needs to be expanded because we're offering opportunities for development, sometimes at taxpayers' expense, to develop in other areas of Kerrville and north of, but we have all of the existing property owners and business owners in West Kerrville who are told that they cannot expand or build because of our current limitation with the Knapp lift station. So I would encourage you to include that, and I'm hurrying. Would you please include that since we're using taxpayer dollars already? Number 3 and last, in regards to the Elm Creek pipeline, I would ask that you, if you're going to go forward with this, which it looks like you plan to pursue, would you also include in that application for grant funding any quality control equipment or measures that would be needed so that you could have continual monitoring of this effluent water that's being discharged into our drinking water? Maybe it's included in what you've already stated, it's kind of generally spoken, but make sure that provision would be in the request. I'm glad that upgrades to the water treatment plant are requested. The wastewater plant still has pharmaceuticals and other chemicals, which, by the way, let me just conclude, I'm so glad that when I was in office, we approved the GAC systems, because I did read online, if Grok is telling us the truth, that if there's any success in treating this effluent for pharmaceuticals, it is through the granular activated carbon. So I'm hoping we're using those consistently and thoroughly. I'm hopeful if it comes to fruition, the GAC and membrane systems combined that David told me about and Kyle spoke of will effectively deal with any of those residual contaminants in the effluent. And finally, let me just say that I spoke with Representative Wes Ferdell this afternoon, and he's generally in support of anything the city applies for in terms of grant money instead of bonds, and he's generally approving, not specifically to these projects, but generally in approval of requesting the grant. So if you would consider amending tonight's motion to add 1, 2, or 3 of those requests that I gave to you, we may or may not do it. It's kind of generally spoken, but I would appreciate that consideration. Thank you.
George Baruti?
Mr. Baruti.
George Baruti, 1616 Glen Road. So basically, I'm talking about the funding of, potentially funding a different method of your reuse, your indirect potable reuse. based on what you see in there, those are numbers that came straight out of your own proposal or whatever it was. The main question you got to ask yourself is, what is the amount of deficit that we're trying to close the gap on? And it's in a historic drought situation, how much are we short? And the answer is, according to the city, is 1.3 million gallons a day. Okay, so doing the Elm Creek pipeline gets you part of the way, but not all the way there. So if you're going to dirty the water, you might as well dirty it all the way, right? So instead of using indirect potable reuse and taking the north route, you can see that the project costs as well as the resulting annual operating costs is lower going on the south route. So my recommendation would be to consider adding whatever the cost of the south route is fully to 2 million gallons a day, just increase that capacity to whatever it needs to be to this grant. So that if they turn it down based on, you get less than you were gonna get, then you reevaluate what you're gonna do. But if they approve it, what you've done is essentially gotten the bulk of this reuse system paid for without the cap limitation that you're putting in it by sizing it so small. And it basically, if you're gonna go in this route, go all in. Here's an opportunity to get it fully funded. Why not take the chance and do that? Because the alternate is you're not gonna get enough water out of this. By your own numbers, this will not solve the problem. So you're gonna come back and get taxpayer money. Why not just ask for the grant money right now? To the question about lift station, I believe this grant you can't use for wastewater projects. So we can't do that. That was my first thought too, but you can't. But please encourage them to consider raising the capacity of this, the infrastructure here. So that's not the bottleneck. If you can get the grant money for the full, if you see, I think it's for 2 million gallons, the south route, it's $18 million. I don't know what the chances that we get it or not, but you sure should ask, because it solves our problem. And at the end of the day, you get past the fact that it's ick water. The per thousand gallon cost of it is 34 cents. That's the one on the south route. South route also solves one more other problem or issue that was raised here tonight. It's a pipeline all the way to Nimitz, so it's closed. So it's already solving the Elm Creek problem. So I would look at doing that and shifting your gears to there. Thank you.
We have no other citizen speakers.
Thank you. Staff want to respond to any of those ideas?
So Mayor and Council, and some of the constituents that have spoken, Ms. Brody was correct. This is not for wastewater. They made that very specific. This is actually very limited for reuse. It has to be for a direct or indirect water supply improvement. So wastewater is out, reuse treatment is out unless it's for indirect or direct reuse to a water supply. And generally speaking, this application, Mayor White, as you mentioned, is very general. Those that have spoken on the Elm Creek line, we are not defined by what we put, because actually there's not even a definition of the length of the pipe that we're putting in. This is something that can be amended. That's why it is very generic that we're putting in a new line for the reuse. Our proposal originally was to Elm Creek. We can alter the design, the preliminary design aspect of it, look at the most viable route that would directly inject it into the lake, still be indirect. So that there's opportunity within this. The activated carbon, that's one of the pretreatment options we would look at. There is a prioritization. You alluded to this earlier. So we're trying to go for 21 million. That's the cap of what we can do for cities over 10,000, less than 150,000 in population. What we would do is prioritize, and whatever funding remains available. They haven't disclosed the period that I've seen of when that has to be spent, but they will award everything by 2027. When we have to spend it, it's usually about 5 years. And so as we go through the projects, bring them to you for design and construction award, we'll start checking those off the box, looking to you for direction on some of the design implications, anything like that. So I believe that may have addressed everything, but anything else?
Any other staff comments? Dalton? Is there a motion then, or any discussion among us before?
So there's flexibility about what we do and when we
Apparently
do
so,
it.
yeah.
So there's not committing to any particular thing at this point, but these are just some samples of what might be done.
That's correct.
And then the 20 million is the max that we can do. So we want to try to get that, and then we've got time to work out this thing.
Yes, sir.
So,
Go ahead and make a motion,
I'll
please.
make the motion, that we approve resolution number 29-2026.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Before we vote, thank you for your input. We're still at the very beginning of all of this, so there's a lot of chances that things will develop differently. If there's no discussion, all in favor, so vote. It passes unanimously. Thank you all for being here tonight. There's no need for us to go into executive session. And are there any items for future agendas? All right, at 7:01, this meeting is adjourned.